oh, he's antagonizing hardworking people and recording them for no reason to try to get the come up and sue them.
Like I said, I'm educating. That antagonizing word, you got to delete it because I just told you I'm exercising my right. I'm doing something I'm allowed to do.
Got it.
I have the right to do what I'm doing. Better yet, it's a duty. It's a public duty to hold everybody accountable.
That just makes no fucking sense. I mean, it's just bullshit.
For their actions.
Right.
You feel me?
Right.
We have cameras everywhere as soon as you step out them doors.
Every one of these First Amendment auditors, as well as their supporters, they always say that. They always make this false equivalence about surveillance cameras versus a camera that you hold in your hand that you can put on social media versus cameras that's in the facility for security reasons.
This is such a crock of shit.
And it's not the same thing. There's two different things.
Right.
My camera is just one more.
Right.
You don't like the way I look? You don't like the way I hold it?
Yeah.
Look up. There's cameras.
Yeah.
Go tell every single building, every single store, every single dash cam.
And
tell them not to record.
Then a lot of these people, right, after you come say, yo, man, but I don't give you permission to.
Like I said,
they always say that.
It's not just about that. Like I said, it's a right, bro. It's in the First Amendment of our Constitution, freedom of the press. That's one of the beauties that we have over here, bro. Listen, if you go to North Korea, you pull a camera out, bro. They'll send you to you already know, man. They're gonna send your ass to a concentration camp.
Right.
That's what you want for this country? That's what you want for this country?
Hell no.
You know what I mean? Because you want to record, you want to take pictures outside freely. Call the police, take them to jail.
I've been doing photography for 12 years, and I never in my life had an issue taking pictures outside in public. But when I did it with respect. Nobody has ever come up to me and chastised me about taking photos. So obviously it's something that you're doing wrong.
A lot of them, we need to wake the people up.
Right. No, and I get it, but, I also got to ask you then this. Like, you don't think you'd be antagonizing the regular people as well when you do these things on YouTube?
No, because if you get antagonized, that means you have no education, brother.
Get the fuck out of here with that.
So that's when I come in. You're not supposed to be antagonized when I'm exercising my right, a right that you have. You feel me? It's like I could get antagonized right now because I don't like that hat that you have or that shirt that you have. That shit makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to see you, bro. Go across the street or move. But you have the right to wear the hat.
Right.
You have the right to wear the shirt. You have the right to be you.
Right.
As long as you don't break the law. You feel me?
Right.
Now, if I feel antagonized because you're wearing whatever you're wearing, what am I supposed to do? Call the police? You think that's the right thing to do? Call Popos? Because I don't like what you're doing.
So, Eli believes that if he goes up to the doorway of a business that you own, you shouldn't feel antagonized. That right there is narcissism at its peak.
I can't go with other people in the room.
You see, what narcissistic people and toxic people like this gentleman would do is do something to antagonize you, hide behind something to try to make it work in his favor, which is the First Amendment. He will use the First Amendment to do something such as take a camera, go right into the walkway of a business that you own or a store that you might walk into, and he'll stand right dead in the doorway. Now, we all know what most people will say if you see a random person with a camera that's pointed directly at the person in the entranceway.
Bro, let me move back. Yo, move back. I'm probably going to invite us in.
How can I help you?
How you doing, sir?
Or, better yet, if he took the camera and went to the window, like he usually does, he knows that's going to cause an alarm. That's why he does it. And while doing that, he's going to tell you how you should feel about it. You see, he feels that he can do whatever he wants to because it's right. But you as a human being that doesn't want to be filmed, you don't have that same right. You can't feel it any type of way because it's his right. So if it's his right, then you shouldn't feel anyway.
It's like,
That's my right, isn't it?
not when you're working, ma'am. Not when you're working.
That's not true. I just looked it up.
You just looked up the Constitution, man.
It's not a First Amendment violation
Look up.
for me to choose not to give you my
Yeah,
name.
no, it's not. It's not. Look at your rules of the policies of your job. Look at that. Rules and regulations of your job, not the Constitution.
Manipulation.
Hired?
Exactly. That's what you need to do. Rules and regulations and policies of your job. She will next time. You guys all work for the public. Okay. Yes, you do, ma'am. You.
Eli, sorry to tell you, she doesn't have to give her name to you. Because she is not a public servant. She didn't take the civil service exam. She just works at the public library. Me or you can work at the public library if we applied. It doesn't mean we have to give our name to any rando with a camera if they ask for it.
Manipulation.
And like a typical narcissist, her rights don't mean anything because she's at work, but meanwhile you get to go with your camera, pointing at people, and tell them that they shouldn't get mad or shouldn't be antagonized or aggravated or whatever adjective you want to use below.
Dad, you humiliated me. Mike thinks I'm a total fool.
The window lickers that will come on to comment on this video after it's posted, they gonna tell me all these things that people like Eli, Long Island Audit, all these people who have narcissistic tendencies, they think they can just go up in buildings and just pull out their camera. Most of these places are not public forums, but I got news for you. This has nothing to do with the way I feel. This is just the facts of the matter.
The idea that the Constitution allows individuals to be able to film and otherwise express themselves in any building that is owned or operated by the government is a common misconception in the First Amendment community. As we have discussed many times on ATA, the Supreme Court has repeatedly held that the government has the authority to restrict speech on public property. For instance, in the 1976 case of Greer versus Spock, the court rejected a lower court's argument that when the public is freely permitted to visit a place owned or operated by the government, it becomes a First Amendment public forum, holding that, quote, such a principle of constitutional law has never existed and does not exist now. The guarantees of the First Amendment have never meant that people who want to propagandize protests or views have a constitutional right to do so whenever and however and wherever they please. The state, no less than a private owner of property, has power to preserve the property under its control for the use to which it is lawfully dedicated. Because the Public Defender's Office is lawfully dedicated to the legal representation of indigent criminal defendants, it is clear that the property is not a public forum, and a court would almost certainly conclude that the government could place reasonable and content-neutral restrictions on citizens' expression of speech in the office. In the same way that the First Amendment, which states that, quote, Congress shall make no law abridging the freedom of speech, has not been interpreted to grant citizens unlimited freedom of speech, the Fifth Amendment, which states that, quote, no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, and the 14th Amendment, which states that, quote, nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process of law, have not been interpreted to grant citizens the unfettered right to go wherever they want to and do whatever they choose to. However, the term liberty does recognize that individuals have a substantial amount of freedom to do as they please. For instance, in the 1999 case of Chicago versus Morales, the Supreme Court recognized that, quote, the freedom to loiter for innocent purposes is part of the liberty protected by the Due Process Clause of the 14th Amendment. Indeed, it is apparent that an individual's decision to remain in a public place of his choice is as much of a part of his liberty as the freedom of movement inside frontiers that is a part of our heritage, or the right to move to whatsoever place one's own inclination may direct. However, in the 1965 case of Cox versus Louisiana, the Supreme Court explained that, quote, liberty can only be exercised in a system of law which safeguards order. We reaffirm the repeated decisions of this court that the right of peaceful protest does not mean that everyone with opinions or beliefs to express may do so at any time and at any place. There is a proper time and place for even the most peaceful protest, and a plain duty and responsibility on the part of all citizens to obey all all valid laws and regulations. This tension between individual freedoms and the government's authority to maintain order has been the basis for many court cases, and it is understandable why Mr. Chi would be confused about the scope of his constitutional rights given the complexities of this area of law. However, it is likely that a court would determine that Mr. Chi's rights were not violated when he was trespassed from the public defender's office, considering the purpose of the department.
Gay blouses.
To sum this all up, you just can't go to places with your camera out and just film everybody you see just because your eyes can see it. That's not how that works.
This guy bugging, bro.
Ain't nobody bugging, bro.
Why you hating, man? You feeling some type of way? So respect my hustle, G.
It's that he's educating people, but where's the education at? Because in this clip, I educated y'all on things that y'all don't want to listen to. Y'all want to just listen to everybody in your echo chamber. But you just heard him say to respect his hustle. So is it something that you're doing it because you want to do it for the people, or are you doing it for yourself? Because that right there, that shows me that you're doing it for yourself. Like a typical narcissist. They don't do it for nobody but themselves.
If I bum you out, maybe you'll change.
And for those of you who are claiming that I'm doing this to get clicks off of other people, why aren't you addressing Eli? He's the one that's making money off the expense of other people outside, minding their own business. So, if he can do what he's doing, then I can do what I'm doing, because what I'm doing isn't hurting anybody. I'm just doing commentary on what I see on the internet. I'm not harassing nobody. I'm not making anybody feel uncomfortable. Except for the window lickers that likes these people, but that's not my problem. So if y'all want me to do any commentary on people like this, like auditors, drop a link down to somebody that you want me to look into, and I'll be gladly to take a look at their video and do commentary on it. Radio out.
Well, realizing you have a problem is the first step to fixing it.